Hello, my name is Jacobo Lobo. I'm the Managing Artistic Director at Latino Arts. We're a cultural arts nonprofit located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and we are so thrilled that you have invited us to play Loteria virtually with you. In this video, we're going to be talking about the mechanics of the game, a little bit of the history, and how it works virtually. All right, so to get started, you will be probably familiar with Loteria if you've played it growing up or throughout your life with the tablas. And you're probably wondering how this game functions virtually since this ends up being such a communal and kind of hands-on game. So we'll be demonstrating on how the game looks virtually, which is one of our frequently asked questions. The mechanics of Loteria are very similar to bingo, and oftentimes loteria is referred to Mexican bingo, and in this case is a fair comparison, but different. You have visual aids, or you have cards. They have the image, and then you will find the corresponding image on the tabla. So in this case, I'll be playing the role of the caller, and I will be calling out the cards, and the players are finding their corresponding image on their tabla and marking it as we go. All right. So once we do that, we have the number of games that we're going to be playing with you. We have the winning combination per game, and we announce those at the beginning of each round or of each game. Oftentimes, within an hour session, we can play anywhere between 3 to 4 games. Three very comfortably, four if we're doing a couple of lightning rounds. That's it. So let's get into how the game looks like virtually. I am going to be sharing my screen. And one thing before I share my screen, I want to emphasize that in order for the game to be successful, I need to be able to share my screen a couple of different ways. So when we are joining an event that is hosted by an external company, we prefer to use either Zoom or WebEx. We have a license for WebEx, so we can set up games. If your company prefers to use Zoom, we would be happy to run the game through Zoom, but we wouldn't be need to be co-host for the game. So I'm able to share my screen in order for the game to function, as you will see now. So at this point in the game, we are going into our virtual version of Loteria with Latino Arts. On your screen, you should see Loteria with Latino Arts. And at this point, I will remind all our players on what the rules of the game are and what our winning combination is. Now, in order for the game to function, we need to be able to have the chat feature working. So I will also invite all our participants to open up the chat function on their end, because as you could imagine, if we have multiple players playing this game virtually, and in order for us to identify a winner and them to yell out Loteria, that gets to be a little bit messy in a virtual setting. So we use the chat function for that. So our winners would type in Loteria in the chat and hit enter within the session, and that's how we're able to recognize each winner. All right, so here, let's jump into the game. Loteria with Latino Arts. Our first card we're calling is El Sol. So as the game progresses, we call each card and invite our players to comment in the chat box. We do encourage our participants to comment and talk with each other throughout the game, because after all, playing Loteria is a communal experience, and we want people to feel that kind of family setting that we aren't able to have sometimes when we're working virtually. Our Loteria cards have that beautiful illustrated card that is a signature of the game, but then they also have a text that is associated with each one of the images in each one of the cards. We've taken the liberty of translating them both in English and Spanish, so everybody feels included. When I am calling the cards, I will be calling them and reading the text both in English and in Spanish. So, for example, this is one of my favorite ones. La Luna, el farol de los enamorados, the street lamp of lovers. El Venado. Here you have one of another classic cards, and we continue to play through the game until we recognize one of our winners. I will stop sharing in this format, and I will show one final format that we share the game, because what we like to do is have, especially within an hour session, we have at least 2 or 3 different rounds. Normally, about 3 or 4 is what we end up doing with each company. But the first 2 rounds are presented the way I just showed you, which with a virtual slideshow. But for the third, and if we go into a fourth round, we like to do what we call the lightning rounds. So for that, we use a different sharing technique, and we remind all our players to have their chat box open. And now we take it kind of old school. So we use the handheld deck, and this time, now by this time in the session, we're in the second or third round, and people are a little bit more familiar with the game, and they've heard the sayings for some of the cards a couple of times now. So what we like to do is go into our lightning round, and it gives more people a chance to win. So I would be calling the cards from the deck and putting them on the screen. This is one of our homemade cards, and we continue to play. So we call this one La Cultura. So here's one of our classic ones, El Bandolón. And like I said, this is kind of the lightning round, La Araña, La Campana. So we go through them fairly quick. Unless there's a card that has not come up throughout the gameplay in the session, then I will take the time to show the text on the back of the card, and then also translate it and then go to the next card. But these are the 2 basic ways that we play Loteria on either WebEx or Zoom, and it makes the game more inclusive, and it facilitates us being able to play throughout the entire world. Again, we want to say thank you so much for choosing Latino Arts to share this cultural experience with you. And I'm going to hand it over to Ale. She's going to talk about a little bit more of the logistics.
Thank you, Jacobo. And it's a pleasure to be speaking with you guys to give you a little insider on how we do our Loteria event here at Latino Arts. In terms of next steps after you've seen this video, we will probably set up a meeting with you to discuss the details of the events, that being dates, times, and platforms. As Jacobo mentioned earlier in the video, our preferred platforms are Zoom and WebEx. We have a license to use WebEx and can send out the meeting notice ahead of time so you can share it with your attendees. If WebEx does not work for you guys and Zoom is a platform that you guys can use, you can send us a link to join, and we only ask that Jacobo have access to be co-host on that event. Once we meet with you and kind of set up these details, we will also ask those details for the custom card so we can finalize that. And what's really nice is that each tabla or board game will have a custom card that is designed for your company already embedded. So everybody's going to have a really nice board that has either your company logo, values, or anything that kind of ties back to your org. Once we finalize the logo or the card, the custom card, we will send all these tablas digitally. That'll probably happen the week before the event. And once you have those tablas, you can send those out to your players again electronically. It's really nice that it's electronically because they can pull it up side by side. So have the WebEx meeting or the Zoom on one side, and then the tabla and the PDF, and then mark it with like the PDF marker on Adobe. If that is not an option, they can easily screenshot it and use their phone and use the photo app to mark up the cards. If they have access to a printer, there's always the fun way to do it because it's the traditional way to do it. You can print out the card and you can use pinto beans as your markers, or if you have any other markers from another board game, or you can just use a pencil, whatever is easiest to mark up the board once it's printed as a way to play. Any other questions that you might have, please refer back to the FAQ that is on our website, or feel free to contact me. My email will be listed on that FAQ.
Thank you, Ale. And we are looking forward to working with you and hosting a live Loteria event. We do host them at all times of day, but if we are currently located in Central Standard Time in the Midwest. We are located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And if you are either East Coast, West Coast, and observing Pacific Time, we would need to make sure that we have availability, and we are working with you ahead of time to set up that session for a time that works for you. All right. We're looking forward working with you, like I mentioned before, and both I and Ale are happy to answer any questions that might come up. Thank you.